AI. That's the signal.
Okay, so let's get right into it. Back in January 2026, something happened that changed the world of AI forever. OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT, made this huge decision that basically ended the ad-free, innocent era of AI and kicked off a whole new commercial future. And today, we're going to break down exactly why they did it and what it all means.
Now, to really get just how big of a deal this was, you have to hear what OpenAI's own CEO, Sam Altman, used to say about ads in ChatGPT. His words were uniquely unsettling. Seriously, he saw it as a total last resort, something that could really mess with the integrity of what they were building.
But then, well, the last resort became the new reality. That unsettling idea suddenly became the new normal. In a move that shocked a lot of people, OpenAI did a complete 180 and announced ads were officially coming to ChatGPT. So what happened? What on earth could be big enough to force a pivot that massive?
Well, the answer wasn't some change in philosophy. It was about the math. It was about a colossal, almost unimaginable financial pressure that was building up behind the scenes. We're not talking about a small problem here. We're talking about a $1 trillion problem. First up, you gotta understand just how massive ChatGPT had become. By 2026, it had something like 800 million people using it every single week. I mean, that's one of the biggest digital services on the planet, and it happened practically overnight. And here's the thing, every single query from every one of those users costs cold, hard cash to run. But here's the flip side of that success story. A whopping 95% of those people, they were all on the free tier. That's almost everyone. So OpenAI was footing this gigantic bill to power the service, but getting $0 back from the vast majority of its users. Talk about the ultimate free rider problem, right? And look, this wasn't even just about paying the bills for today. OpenAI's moonshot goal, their whole reason for being, is to build AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. And the price tag for that? Get this, a projected $1 trillion in servers and chips and everything else by 2030. Yeah, just relying on a few subscriptions was never, ever gonna cut it. So, how do you solve a $1 trillion problem? You come up with a whole new game plan. OpenAI rolled out this really sophisticated strategy to make some money from basically every kind of user, from the person just asking for a recipe to the hardcore developer. Let's break down how this new playbook actually works. And this is it, the new 4-tier system. You still have the free tier, but now it's got ads. Then they introduced this brand new thing called the Go tier for $8 a month. And yep, it has ads too. It's only when you get to the more expensive Plus and Pro tiers that you go ad-free. Each one is built for a different person with a different wallet. Okay, wait a second. I know what you're thinking. Why in the world would I pay for something that still shows me ads? Well, OpenAI is basically borrowing from the cable TV playbook, or think about how Hulu works. You're not paying the $8 to get rid of the ads, you're paying for access to the better, smarter AI models and higher usage limits. The ads are just there to help cover the rest of the massive costs. All right, so that's the why, the business side of things. But let's talk about the what. Like, what does this actually feel like for you and me when we open up ChatGPT now? And yeah, the two huge worries on everyone's mind were, of course, bias and privacy. OpenAI knew this was a huge deal. Their whole reputation, really, hangs on this one core idea they call answer independence. This is their big promise to all of us, that an advertiser's money will never touch or influence the actual answer the AI gives you. The ad is treated like a totally separate piece of the puzzle. And here's how they say it works. It's actually pretty simple. Step 1, you type in your question. Step 2, ChatGPT does its thing and generates the answer, completely firewalled off from any advertisers. And then, only after that's done, a totally different system places a relevant, clearly marked ad below the answer. The two things are designed to never interact. Okay, so what about privacy? Because that's a big one. OpenAI is drawing a really clear line in the sand here. They're only doing what's called contextual targeting. So, what does that mean? It means the ads you see are based only on the words in the chat you're having right now. That is a world away from the old school way, where behavioral trackers follow you all over the internet to see what you were shopping for last week. Look, this decision wasn't just a big deal for OpenAI. It sent an earthquake through the entire internet. Everyone felt the shockwaves, competitors, advertisers, and maybe most of all, the people and companies who actually create the content we read online.
For anyone in marketing, the entire rulebook just got tossed out. We all know about SEO, right? Search engine optimization. Well, now the game is all about GEO, Generative Engine Optimization. It's not about being the #1 link on Google anymore. The new holy grail is to have your stuff be so good that the AI actually cites you as the source in its answer.
But if you run a blog or a news website, or really any kind of online publisher, this whole thing is kind of a nightmare. Just think about it. If ChatGPT gives you the perfect answer, why would you ever need to click a link to visit a website? And that's the fear. We're talking a potential traffic drop of 40% or even more. For a lot of websites, that's a death sentence.
Yeah, it's a real double whammy for them. First, their traffic vanishes because the AI is just answering the questions directly. But the second punch is that OpenAI is now making money by selling its own ads next to answers that were trained on the very content those publishers created. And in many cases, they aren't seeing a single dime of it. This isn't just a challenge. A lot of people see this as an existential threat to the whole open web. So, as we start to wrap this up, what's the big takeaway for all of us? This whole new era of AI is really forcing us to face some pretty big trade-offs, isn't it? It's making us ask what price we're actually willing to pay for all this incredible intelligence. And I think this quote just hits the nail on the head. What we're seeing isn't some brand new, crazy concept. It's the oldest business model on the internet. We give you free stuff and you give us your attention. That model has now officially taken over the next huge wave of technology. The ad-free honeymoon period was nice, but it was never going to last forever. And so that leaves us with one final and I think really important question to chew on. We all want AI to be this incredible tool, our genius assistant, our personal tutor, our brainstorming partner. But now that ads are officially part of the deal, are we also okay with it becoming the most persuasive, most powerful salesman the world has ever known?